It's time we seriously look at the Washington Wizards and decide if they're done, if their future is looking very grim, or if there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Everybody knows what the Washington Wizards have been up to this summer. It started out, they traded Bradley Beal for Chris Paul. I don't think Wizards fans wanted Beal's contract regardless, so trading him away was good. For Chris Paul, I didn't like that, but they turned it into Jordan Poole, which I thought was amazing. If you can get Jordan Poole, so basically they traded Jordan Poole for Bradley Beal, and that's honestly not too bad. It's not horrible. They also traded for Tyus Jones. They re-signed Kyle Kuzma. They got Landry Shamet. They got Danilo Gallinari. They drafted Bilal Coulibaly. They got Patrick Baldwin Jr., who I think could be a great player in the future. He was projected to be a great player going into his draft class. He fell a little bit going to a minor big college. I don't even remember what the college was called, but he played for his dad. Didn't really help his draft stock whatsoever. Defense is his main deficit right now. So that's how the Wizards are looking right now. Those are the moves the Wizards have made so far. Now, what does this mean for the Wizards in the future? Next year, I think the Wizards are going to be the worst team in the NBA. I think they're going to be absolutely horrible. They have no good defensive players. This is their starting lineup. This is going to be their starting lineup. Maybe. I don't even know. I don't even know who would be their center. They don't even have a center right now. Jordan Poole at the 1 or 2. Probably Tyus at the 1. That's what I would go with, Tyus at the 1. Kyle Kuzma at the 3. Daniel Gafford at center or like the 4. Maybe play Denny Avdia or Bilal Coulibaly. Depends who you want to progress more in their training. That team right there is horrible. It's just absolutely horrible. There's nothing that the Wizards could sell me on that would make me think that team is going to win more than like 20 games. I'm serious. I think they're going to be absolutely horrible. I think they're going to tank, obviously. I think Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma are going to get minor injuries at the beginning of the year, and they're probably going to be out the rest of the year because they're going to be wanting to tank so bad. They're just going to want to help out their young guys right now. And if I'm being honest, I don't even know what they're going to do in the future. They signed Kyle Kuzma is getting $20 million for the next 4 years. Jordan Poole is getting $30 million for the next 4 years. Daniel Gafford is on a decently sized contract. Landry Shamet's getting $10 million a year. I don't know why Landry Shamet is getting paid $10 million a year. Maybe next season you can get someone in free agency. They might have some cap space. They might make more moves. But for the Wizards, I don't see them making the playoffs for at least the next 2 years. But that doesn't mean that they can't get better. Jordan Poole is going to be the primary facilitator, going to be the primary shooter now that he's on the Wizards. It's going to be him and Kyle Kuzma. But I think they're going to go to Jordan Poole way more often because of the talent that he showed with the Warriors like 2 years ago. Last year, Jordan Poole didn't do great. If Jordan Poole is how he played last year on the Warriors, the Wizards are going to be in shambles for real. Like their franchise is going to be dead for them at least the next 10 years. They're going to be cursed. But I don't think he's going to be like last year. He's away from the Warriors situation, away from Draymond. It's not looking great for Jordan Poole right now. If you've seen any pics of him, it looks like his soul has left his body. He looks dead inside. He doesn't look like he has any motivation whatsoever to be on the Wizards. But, he's getting paid. He's getting paid. And I think Jordan Poole could drop he could drop like 25 a game on the Wizards next year. Him and Kyle Kuzma could both drop 25 a game because there's no one else on your team who's a scorer. No one else on the Wizards is going to be a bucket getter. Daniel Gafford, he's a scorer. He's very athletic. I guess you can do some pick and rolls with him. I think they're going to benefit a lot from Tyus Jones. Tyus Jones is only going to be there 1 year, though. So Tyus Jones is not part of their long-term plans. I've even heard some rumors that he might be traded before the end of this offseason. But if Tyus stays, it's going to be really great for the Wizards because Tyus is an amazing point guard. Probably the best backup point guard for the past 3-4 years. Every year he has the best assist to turnover ratio. He's a great passer. He's not a scorer, but he's going to be able to facilitate your team. And Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma are going to benefit from that a lot. Also, the young guys are going to benefit from that a lot. Bradley Beal, he's going to be able to make his offensive game better. He's not very polished right now offensively. I mean, he's coming in raw. He's a young guy. He's more of he's a long guy. He has great defensive potential, not the best scorer. In the summer league, he did not play well at all. I think he only played 1 or 2 games though, so not a great sample size. I still have faith in Denny Advia. I think he can be a solid player for the Wizards. So Tyus Jones is a great pickup for the Wizards, yet he might not be there when the season actually starts. Now, hear me out, Wizards fans, before I say this. Just hear me out. You need to fire Wes Unseld Jr. I don't think he's going to be the coach you're going to want to develop your rookies. He's been the Washington Wizards coach for 2 years now. Each year he's had the same record, 35-47, missed the playoffs both times, and that shouldn't have been the case. You had Bradley Beal, you had Porzingis. I don't know if he had Russell Westbrook. I don't know about that. But I think you're going to need a new coach for your rebuilding. You're in rebuild mode. Yeah, I just don't think Wes Unseld is going to be a coach you're going to want for your rebuild situation. I don't know who you'd pick up because most of the great coaches that were on the block for hiring this summer have already signed to new teams, including Nick Nurse, Monty Williams. I don't think you're going to get one of those coaches anyway, but maybe bring up one of your assistant coaches, some young guy who knows the team a little bit, can have great rapport with the young guys because he's also young. I just don't have a lot of faith in Wes Unseld Jr. from what I've seen the past 2 years. Obviously, he's had to deal with a very mediocre team, but nonetheless, he hasn't showed any improvement with the rosters that he's had. He hasn't made the team any better. So I think it's just time to move away from him. As for draft picks, it's very important for the Wizards to tank this year. It's very important. I don't know anything about the upcoming draft class, but they very much need to tank. They only have their draft picks. It's crazy how they traded away Bradley Beal and Porzingis and got no first-round draft picks. It's actually wild to me. They got some second-round draft picks, but they got no first-round draft picks whatsoever. And they don't have the guys anymore to get draft picks. Bradley Beal and Porzingis were the only guys you could possibly get to get future first-round draft picks. You're not going to trade Jordan Poole again. You're not going to trade away Kyle Kuzma. I don't think anybody's going to want their contracts for what they just re-signed with you guys. So it's very vital that you tank this year. Because if you don't, at best, I think the Wizards can be a third, maybe high 30 win team. I don't think they can crack the 40s. Their team is just so bad. Their team is just too raw as well. They have no defense. I think this team is going to be very bad for pace. I think they're going to be horrible on fast break situations. As I said, they're not going to be able to defend. So this year is very vital. Next year, I think you tank as well, but we'll see what happens this year. I mean, if the young guys show signs that they can command this team, if Jordan Poole somehow is I'm an MVP candidate, which isn't going to happen, but if he does that, then go for it. If Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma somehow become perennial all-stars and they're the duo that is LeBron James and Kyrie Irving, go ahead and go for the playoffs. But for the next 2-3 years, it's going to be a slow-moving boat for the Wizards fans. There's not going to be anything or much to be looking forward to. Bright side for Wizards fans, the team might be fun to watch. They might be fun to watch. Jordan Poole always puts on a show. Kyle Kuzma can get streaky. He can get hot from shooting. We don't know much about Bilal Coulibaly. Maybe he's a showtimer. From what I've seen, he doesn't seem to be that guy. But the team could be entertaining. They're young. People are going to want to see what they do. When there's a team that's expectations are so bad. It's like the Jazz last year. Everybody thought that the Jazz were going to be the clear worst team in the NBA. And then all of a sudden, Lauri Markkanen's an all-star. Walker Kessler is looking like a future defensive player of the year. Jordan Clarkson's playing amazing. Colin Sexton's playing amazing. And then they have draft picks, so that their future looks amazing. But the year before, everybody was like writing the Jazz off. So maybe the Wizards can have the exact same season. And that would be amazing for Wizards fans. I mean, maybe Kyle Kuzma and Jordan Poole are all-stars. Maybe they do way better than expectations are set. So people are always going to want to see what the Wizards are going to be able to do. Because everybody was watching the Jazz once they started going that hot streak last year. I mean, later into the season, they played awful. They didn't even make the play-in. But at the beginning of the season, Jazz were like number 1 or number 2 in the conference through like 15 games, I remember. So you got that to look forward to. I mean, the team is in shambles right now. I don't think it's a situation that they can't get out of. I don't think it's the worst situation in the world. You still have your first-round draft pick. You still have young guys. You have Kyle Kuzma and Jordan Poole for the next 4 years who are still young as well. Kyle Kuzma, not so much. Jordan Poole is still pretty young. They're in their 20s. And their contracts are going to go through their 20s. They're not even going to reach their 30s. So you got time. Just don't have high expectations for the next 2-3 seasons, I would say. That's all I'm saying.